Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, and today's video we'll be covering 8 new Nintendo Switch eShop sale games worth buying, so let's get into it. Now real quick before we jump into the video, at the time of posting this video, all of these games are on sale, but if you want to make sure to not miss out on any future sale videos and get the latest updates of new videos we put out, be sure to subscribe. But with that said, let's jump into the video. Alright, the first game on the list is Blossom Tales 2: The Minotaur Prince. Now this game is heavily inspired by games like The Legend of Zelda and is a top-down action-adventure game. And similar to the first game, the game is narrated by a grandpa telling his young grandchildren a story. And this time around, the story focuses around Lily and her brother. And so the game starts off with a tournament celebrating the defeat of the evil Minotaur King. And in the final round, Lily is defeated by her brother, and in her anger of defeat, she wishes that her brother was kidnapped by the Minotaur King and taken away. And that actually comes true, where the Minotaur King appears and steals away her brother, and so you go on a quest to rescue him throughout the game. And so the game features a lot of exploration around the world, going through different dungeons, finding new items that will unlock abilities for Lily. And again, it feels like a classic Super Nintendo Legend of Zelda game. Now they do make some adjustments to the items so they're not just directly copying The Legend of Zelda and fit better in the Blossom Tales universe, but the general layout of the game is very similar, where you'll go from dungeon to dungeon, finding a new item which will help you get past certain obstacles, and then you'll take on a challenging boss at the end of the dungeon, which will progress you onto the next part of the story. The game has warp points via hot air balloons that can help you travel around the map quickly. There's plenty of secrets to find. You can craft potions with items you find around the world, and much more. The game isn't super long. It'll probably take you around 15 to 20 hours to complete. But if you like classic action-adventure games, I definitely recommend it. Alright, the next game on the list is the Contra Anniversary Collection. And so this is a collection of classic Contra games, 10 in total. And so you'll get a couple from the Super Nintendo, a couple from the SNES, some from Sega, some of them are arcade ports, and much more. So Contra games as a whole are classic run-and-gun shooters, where you'll face waves and waves of enemies and take on challenging bosses through side-scrolling levels, but also it will shift the angle to more of a top-down bird's-eye view, and you'll face shooting challenges with that as well. There's a ton of different gun types that you can find along the way, but the gameplay is very challenging as you can quickly die throughout the levels. You'll find tons of power-ups throughout the levels to improve your firepower, but you'll need to avoid getting hit if you hope to keep your powered-up abilities. The game is on a massive discount right now, and if you like run-and-gun shooters, I definitely recommend this collection. Alright, the next game on the list is another collection, and this time it's the Castlevania Advance Collection. And so this is a collection of 4 classic Castlevania games, mostly from the Game Boy Advance, but there's one additional game not from the Game Boy Advance thrown in as well. Now one of the games included is Dracula X, which is more of a traditional side-scrolling Castlevania game, but the other 3 in the collection are all Metroidvania-style Castlevania games. And so it includes Castlevania Circle of the Moon, which was the first one released on the Game Boy Advance, Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance, and then Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. My favorite on the collection is Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. I think it pulls a lot of inspiration from Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is one of the best in the series and really established that Metroidvania style gameplay. The other 2 from the Game Boy Advance aren't quite as good as that in my opinion, but I still think all 4 games on the collection are some of the best in the Castlevania series and are a whole lot of fun. So if you like action platformers, Metroidvania games, I definitely recommend the Castlevania Advance Collection. Alright, the next game on the list is Castle Crashers Remastered. Now this is a hilarious side-scrolling beat-em-up and is one of my favorites on the Switch. So in this game, you play as different knights that are trying to go on a quest to rescue kidnapped princesses from your kingdom. And so you'll go through all kinds of hilarious levels with unique level design and a quirky sense of humor, which really keeps the gameplay fresh. Now the game has a lot of RPG elements as well, where you have different weapons that you can find throughout the game, each with their own unique playstyle and abilities. But on top of that, you can level up your character, and when you do, you can choose how you distribute your stat points after each level up, so you can really customize each character to your unique playstyle that you enjoy. It's one of my favorite beat-em-ups on the Switch, and I definitely recommend it. Alright, the next game on the list is KO the Kangaroo. So this game is a 3D action platformer where you play as KO the Kangaroo, who goes on a quest to rescue his missing sister and unravel the mystery of his long-lost father. And so you'll suit up with your boxing gloves and head on an adventure where you'll learn new abilities and elemental powers to get past these challenging platforming stages. So for example, you can learn abilities that unleash fire powers to get past different barriers. You'll have ice abilities where you can freeze platforms and much more. So in this game, there's a ton of secrets and a lot of unlockables, from different costumes to hidden letters you can collect, similar to the Donkey Kong Country series, and much more. The game isn't incredibly long. It'll probably take you around 7 to 10 hours to beat, but if you're looking for a fun 3D action platforming game, it's worth checking out. Alright, the next game on the list is Archvale. And so this game is a unique bullet hell meets dungeon crawler that feels like a combination of the classic Legend of Zelda games and a twin stick shooter. And so the storyline is pretty vague in general in this game, where you play as a young hero going on a quest to save the world by collecting different pieces of an arch to stop an evil king. And so you'll travel across different areas throughout the game and collect many different weapons and items that you can use to power up your character. And the game isn't quite roguelike, but it does have some roguelike elements. So the map is set out where you go through different areas, but each time you enter a new room, you'll have to clear out all of the enemies there, and that's really randomly generated each time. The gameplay is pretty challenging as well, and you'll definitely need to head back to town often to upgrade your weapons and buy new armor to power up your character further if you hope to make it through the rest of the game. The gameplay is super addicting and the boss fights are really challenging, but if you're looking for some great bullet hell style gameplay with the addition of some addicting RPG elements, I definitely recommend checking it out. Alright, the next game on the list is River City Girls. Now this is another one of my favorite beat 'em up games on the Switch, and this game takes place in the River City Ransom universe, which is also one of my favorite classic NES beat 'em ups. And so this game combines both RPG elements and beat 'em up mechanics, and you'll play as Misako and Kyoko, two young girls at River City High School. And so you'll go on a quest as these two young girls as they go on an adventure throughout River City to take on gangs and to rescue their kidnapped boyfriends. And so it's a quirky adventure with some great anime style sense of humor in it, and the gameplay is incredibly addicting. It has super responsive controls, and as you progress throughout the game, you'll level up your characters by purchasing items that permanently enhance your character's stats. And so you'll visit various shops around the city and buy food items and accessories to make your character stronger, and you'll also find different dojos to learn new abilities to enhance your characters as well. There's a lot of secrets hidden throughout the game. The gameplay is incredibly fun and addictive. The boss fights are challenging. The storyline is a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend it. Alright, the last game on today's list is Unmetal. And so Unmetal is sort of a parody on the Metal Gear Solid game series and mimics the play style of the early games from the NES in the Metal Gear series. But this time you play as Jesse Fox, who is just your average guy, not some elite trained assassin, who's been wrongfully imprisoned in a military prison for crimes he didn't commit. So the game features this classic stealth gameplay where you'll be able to hide behind walls, make noise, and throw out coins to distract enemies, to stealthily take them out, and progress throughout the mission. But a big selling point of this game is its sense of humor and parody elements to the Metal Gear series. One thing that's pretty funny is that you're not a trained assassin, as I mentioned, but instead this time you're just an average Joe, so you have a conscience and you don't really want to kill people. So the game doesn't really allow you to do that. So any time that you would have killed a person, you actually have to go back and revive them to prevent them from dying to progress on in the story. There's also some different humorous choose your own adventure elements to the game, and it really keeps you on your toes. So you might think that you're choosing one option, but it reframes it in a crazy way, which adds a unique challenge to the area you're trying to clear. The game is also told through different flashbacks as Jesse's being interrogated, and that ties into the choose your own adventure elements because his memory isn't the best in this scenario. But if you like games like Metal Gear Solid, I think this one is worth picking up and checking out. It's a fun, quirky adventure that takes a unique spin on this type of gameplay. But that wraps up this video of 8 new Nintendo Switch eShop sale games worth buying. If you like this video, smash that like button as it really helps out the channel. And if there's other games I missed or other great games on sale right now, let me know in the comments below. And if you're watching this video and they're not on sale right now, if you like what you see, definitely consider picking these games up. I think they're worth a try. And if you like videos like this on video games, board games, and everything nerdy, be sure to check out one of our other videos here. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.